This account pisses me off. Naturally, I'm not following this rot. This is one of the many people out there misleading others. This is why you and I were given numerous forms of communication, as I like to echo, because that's what our masters told us their goal was. This was outlined a very long time ago. People don't research. That's why they don't understand this. That's why they didn't see it coming. That's why they don't know about this. That's why people aren't talking about this. It's another one of the many reasons why I'm systematically censored. This guy's going to tell you that he's going to tell you that the immune system doesn't exist. Then he's going to ironically point you to the lymphatic system. I left a video online the other day having to do with this. Of course, next to no one saw it and or cared, because I am systematically censored on the fucking internet. It's the censor net. It shouldn't be. And it sounds silly, but it's all too true. And it's patently fascist horseshit that would not be in place if you and I were surrounded by adults who meant well and were doing the right thing. But no one's holding anybody accountable. There's no checks and balances, in other words. Things are wildly out of hand, which is why everything's bad and getting worse. Exponentially speaking, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second to second. And the only way to change that is if people pulled their heads out of their ass. That means you got to challenge yourself to begin with. You got to look into all this shit first of all. And if you're not doing that, well, you're not going to make any progress and you haven't begun the fucking journey, which means you're going to be susceptible and or, just flat out gullible. It means that you're going to possibly buy into this guy's nonsense or somebody else's. I don't know that this guy's controlled opposition. I don't know that he works for somebody. I don't think he does. I think he's just dumb. And he's willing to repeat what's online, which is why the algorithm isn't censoring what he leaves online. That's why he has how many people following him. I'm sure it's probably an ego boost. It's the complete 180. It's complete opposite of what I've been going through. But this is by design, not by coincidence. That's why the algorithm in these patently fascist times is promoting shit like this. So, back to point. He's going to tell you to think, but he's not thinking. So, the lymphatic system, it works in tandem with your organs, does it not? This is how it works. You got arteries that will take the blood away from your heart. You got veins that will bring the blood to your heart. Your heart is a valve. Your lungs are the pump. Did I say that right? Lungs are the pump, heart is the valve. This is part of your fucking immune system. These work in tandem with your liver, which will grow back, but you have to abstain from all the things that negatively or that are a detriment to your liver, mind you. This is part of your immune system. Those work in tandem with both your kidneys. You got a kidney on both sides. Your liver is, I think, on your right-hand side, in case you're trying to figure out the anatomy of it all. This is part of your immune system. If you've ever had a runny nose, if you've ever had something swell up, that's related to your lymphatic system, but it's all subject to whether or not your kidneys and your liver are working properly. Because this is part of your fucking immune system. Now, with that in mind, all things that are funded by the Rockefeller Trust cannot be trusted. And unfortunately, if you go to a doctor's office and you talk Western medicine, and if I leave a video like this on YouTube, it might be flagged as medical misinformation, despite the fact that I'm talking about organs in our body, how they work, and I'm also reaffirming, unfortunately, an aspect of this that has been corrupted, it's been adopted, and is socially acceptable to talk about in a Western medicine format. When you go to the doctor's office, you can talk about the immune system, but 10 to 1, they're not going to bring up the lymphatic system, which is why all these bargain bin kids are being duped right now by accounts like this, because most of them have never heard of this before. They've never thought about this before. This is new to them, and they think it's awe-inspiring. Something was kept from me. Of course the immune system doesn't exist. I have a lymphatic system. So they're replacing something with something else instead of using the brain between their ears and reasoning things out. Earlier I said, to begin this journey, you have to challenge yourself. When you challenge yourself, and what I'm referring to, I'm talking about researching in stark contrast to reposting. I'm talking about digging deep. If you start researching, you start trying to figure out what's what. You and I live in the age of disinformation. This is a prime example of it. If you start using Google, Google's a tool of propaganda. It's not a search engine. It's not. But people haven't figured that out. So if you go searching for information, you're going to get a bunch of contradictory nonsense, which means you have to sit with it. You have to reason it out. You got to try to figure out what does and does not reflect reality based on what you observe, what you experience, cyclic patterns, how it works. And you're going to get it wrong more often than you get it right. And it's going to be very discouraging. Again, not unlike what I've been doing on the internet in terms of being censored. It's not a slap on the ass or a pat on the back or a fucking high five, which is why most people don't do this in any form or way. Now, the reason what this guy's shopping around, why this has traction, I said the algorithm's promoting it, but it's really easy to buy into a narrative. That's why our masters gave us numerous forms of communication, so that shit like this would take off like wildfire because most people are lazy and stupid. It's a temporary system. I know that sounds mean and harsh and so tough on people. Ooh, again, we need checks and balances because you and I are surrounded by idiots. Things are bad, and that's why they're getting worse. Now, if you challenge yourself enough and you start getting a foundation to work with, you'll be able to teach people what's what and urge them to at least look into what's what. You can point them in a direction that holds water. It's not some misleading rabbit hole, which is synonymous with propaganda. It's synonymous with the paradigms, which are outlines that people were spoon-fed. So in place of thinking, in place of talking about something that does reflect reality, they draw from something they can regurgitate. And this is why most people will talk to you about paradigms. They don't understand a fucking thing, but they'll tell you, outer space is real, light has speed, the earth is flat, blah, 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 and any number of fucking fallacies that most people believe in and repeat. It's all belief-based nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Now, if this guy wasn't misleading people, he would at least dish up how the lymphatic system worked. And in doing so, he would disprove the fact that what he's shopping around is fucking nonsense. Because the lymphatic system is part of the immune system, and that's the joke of all jokes having to do with this garbage. If you sat through this, thanks for sitting through this. I know that was pretty long-winded, and there's more to it, of course. There's a lot more to it. I said mucus and inflammation, etc., etc. You're going to wind up running across nodes and other junk like that having to do with the lymphatic system. Essentially, what it's doing is it's getting rid of the waste. That's what it's supposed to do. And if your kidneys and your liver don't work properly, it's not going to be able to do that job. Still, there's so much more having to do with this. Adrenal glands are going to factor into this. If those aren't working properly, you're going to want to take something. You're going to want to complement it with herbs to a degree. Again, if your liver or your kidneys are damaged, you're going to do that minimally. You're going to really want to reason shit out before you dive into it. Taking things like ashwagandha and stuff like that to balance out your adrenal glands so that you can get your kidneys and your liver working properly again. If you got high blood pressure, high cholesterol, these are all other factors that will trip you up. Any number of things you're going to have health issues if something's wrong with your kidneys and your liver. You're going to start experiencing an excessive amount of mucus to some degree. The other flip side to this, and I'm speaking from personal experience, if you're not eating a balanced diet, if you're eating a Western diet, that means that you're probably going to have more acidic shit in your body, which means your body's not going to be alkaline. The trick to all of this is our blood that flows through our body and promotes, how our body works involving the immune system. It is higher on the scale of alkaline. That's why alkaline is healing, typically speaking. That's how it's thought of. But that doesn't come up. It should come up, but it doesn't come up. When you think of the scale of acidic to alkaline, think of the numbers 1 through 14, roughly enough, capping off at the 7 and the 8. These are things that should be said, but they aren't said because people aren't cooking with fire. What the fuck do I know? And no, I'm not a doctor. Thanks for hanging out. As it reads, horse shit, propaganda, because it is.